Hello, Braves Country. It's Coach Ken Anderson coming for Hardcore Braves, and I got my main man, Ryan. How the heck are you doing tonight, Ryan?
Well, considering that me and you both picked this team to go 1-2 in Boston, and they came out 2-1 with a series victory. I know that's a rare thing that the Braves do is win series this year, but they pulled it out, and I couldn't be happier because we faced three really tough arms, and for us to find a way to pull two wins out is big.
Yeah, we're in kind of a funk where we keep meeting everybody's best pitchers. Luckily, when we get to the series preview with the Reds, that's not going to happen in Cincinnati. So we'll get to that. But before we delve into that, we're going to get into the series recap. And game one had Mr. Spencer Strider against Ranger Suarez. What should have been a really good pitchers matchup turned into kind of an interesting game. Uh, it starts off with Spencer, first two batters hit home runs. And you thought, uh-oh. And that's something Spencer's got to get better at, by the way, is this home run ball. But he recovered and actually threw a pretty good ball game until he got to the sixth inning and he kind of ran out a little gas. Overall, it was probably like a B minus start, in my opinion. Ryan, how about you?
I'm going to be a little bit tougher on Spencer. I think it's about a C plus. I
Okay.
mean, we're right around the same ballpark, but you just can't go in and just give up two freaking meatball home runs to a team that just literally sucks at hitting the long ball. The Red Sox are like bottom barrel in Major League Baseball and hitting for power. So you got to be better than that. You're a better pitcher than that, Spencer. I believe in you that you can be way better than this. So let's clean up the home run ball. You've given up 5 or 6 in your last two starts. Granted, most of them have been solo shots, but you got to limit that kind of damage.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is it was really bad because we just come off a series where we scored one run in 17 games and we go down 2-0. So you got a little worried. But what we didn't understand and underestimated in the game was that Michael Harris would come unglued on everybody. He went 4 for 4, a home run, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored. All four at bats were balls that he crushed. And the home run was really impressive. It was 2 feet off the ground. He hits a changeup out of the ballpark. Are we starting to see the evolution where Michael Harris might be a top 10 outfielder in baseball?
Top five, possibly.
Yeah.
He's look. Everybody was. I put this out on social media the other night. Everybody, there was a lot of people last year that were hounding how bad the extension was, that AA it was terrible, that they needed to trade him, etc. Well, I'm glad Michael Harris is shutting them up this year because he has been an MVP caliber player this year. I mean, he's on pace for 30 something home runs. He's hitting right around 300. His slugging percentage is through the roof. Oh, yeah, by the way, really good defense in center field. You're looking at the potential superstar that Kevin Pillar always talked about Michael Harris could be, and you're finally seeing it. He's he's not chasing as much. He's kind of reined that back in, and he's had way better swing decisions for the most part. He does get swing happy at times where it's not great, but he's reined it in a lot better this year, and you're starting to see the results from it.
Really is becoming a special player. And on today's broadcast, uh, CJ pointed out that the Braves players think that he's as talented as Ronald Acuna Jr. when they see him on the ball field. So now you just see it live. So outstanding. The other thing offensively that happened, everybody was concerned, including our Aaron on deck did a great video on that. If you ain't got a chance to check it, she wasn't saying he was hurt, but she was asking the question that everybody on Twitter was asking: could he possibly be? Well, Matt gets hitting the elbow that everybody's worried about, and decides to hit a 428-foot home run. The next at bat to kind of tell Braves Country, "Shh, I'm okay. I'm okay." So Ryan, that was a pretty impressive home run. I know that I thought the Harris home run was the most impressive of the week. You thought that home run was.
Yeah, and look, I was never really concerned about Matt because look, if it was something really serious, they would have had imaging done. He would have been, and if it was something real serious, he'd been put on the IL by now. They're not going to take a chance with Matt Olson doing something silly like playing through something that's fractured or anything like that. But the pitch he hit out was a fastball that was like 3 inches inside off the plate, and he's a big guy, Ken. He's got long arms, and it takes a lot for him to get on an inside pitch and get around on it. And then he was able to keep it fair down the right field line, and he crushed that thing into the seat. So to me, as a person who knows how hard it is to turn around on a fastball inside, that was probably one of the most impressive ones I've seen so far this year.
Two things real quick on Matt. Matt's going to have stretches like this for a week. He has a swing that's kind of hard to replicate. Like Brian's point, he's a big guy with a long swing. So he's going to have weeks. We can't always delve into there's something wrong. He is probably playing hurt because all players play hurt by this time of the year, but he's not injured. There's two different things. So there's no reason to go on the IL, and he'll come out of it. And usually when he comes out of it, he comes out of hot. The second thing is my son, of course, everybody knows, played with Matt growing up, travel ball. And Matt would have the same thing on weekends. He would look terrible on Saturday and just absolutely, I almost said Ryan's favorite word, S word, on the ball on Sunday. So you're just going to have to live with this. He's got that kind of weird swing, but Matty is getting better and better. His stretches of being futile are getting shorter and shorter. This would have been a 3-week stretch just a couple years ago in 24. Now it's just a week stretch, and he's already coming out of it. So hold your faith, Braves fans. Now, defensively, Mauricio Dubon and Hassan Kim put on a show. They played great defense. Mauricio throws a guy out at home. He's just tremendous. He always seems to be in the right spot, does the right thing. And I was really proud because we saw Hassan Kim trying to take his hitting problems to the field, in my opinion, in Miami, but he's cleaned that up. He's finally realized, look, I can help this team win games, and that's the key. Just whatever you can do to win a game, do it. And we're going to have a great quote at the end of this show about that. The New York fans are bringing up about Mr. Juan Soto. The fact of the matter is Hassan and Maurice had terrific games and really played really well defensively. Even Austin had a good game. Ronnie made some catches in right field in that game and all through the 3 games that normally right fielders have trouble with. You had to be pretty impressed with the defense in this series, but especially on the first game.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the one thing that should never slump is defense, right? But I mean, we're all human. We're going to take it into the field from time to time. But the what Mauricio has meant to this team has been, I think, immeasurable. It's he's brought the attitude in. Like me and you talked about. He has the I don't give a bleep kind of attitude. I'm going to go out there and give you my best, and I'm going to try to beat you in every single way that I can, whether it's with the bat, whether it's with his arm, whether it's with a diving stop to save a run. It seems like he always finds a spot to come up in the clutch and do something to help the team win on every single night. Like I said, it's really special, and I'm glad he's on the team because, my God, we needed that guy. We needed that guy with a little bit of an attitude that just doesn't care, and that needed to rub off on some of these guys, and I think it has. And it needs to rub off on Kim. Kim needs to have that I don't give a bleep attitude, and don't care about what you're doing with the bat. You're going to figure it out. You're a professional. You've done it many a years now. Go out there and play good defense. We need you at shortstop. We need you to be a Gold Glove shortstop at the very least. Just go out there and be a good shortstop. This team was winning without you. We don't need you to come in and be an all-star shortstop. We need you to be Ha-Seong Kim type shortstop. That's what we need. That's what we need from a couple of guys right now, and we're going to talk about that later on as well. But, again, good signs for Kim just playing good defense and Dubon just being Dubon. That's always good.
You know, Kim also can do stuff like laying down bunts, running the bases, so he's got ways to help. So the other thing that went on this game is Dylan gave up his first home run. Robert Suarez had 3 balls over 100 miles an hour hit off of him, which never happens. And I don't know what that was happening in the 9th inning to Rossiel, but he gives up his first 2 runs of the year. They kind of hit a bunch of bloopers and bloopers. Now, Duran crushed his ball, 104 miles an hour to the right field. But it's a good sign that when you can win games when the back 3 kind of wear off, and they did that. So, Ryan, in my opinion, they kind of stole a game there because their back 3 was due a game like this, and they were able to still win the game. That was huge.
Yeah, I mean, look, the guys have been nails for what 7, 8 weeks of the season now, and they had all 3 of them finally had a hiccup in a game, and for us to still pull through that, I mean, I was sweating it there in the 9th inning. I was like, man, we really can't afford to lose this game because I don't know if we're going to win 2 in a row. just early in Peyton Tolles, that's a tall task to take two from, and you already put some numbers up on Suarez, who's had our number in the past. So, but kudos for Iggy figuring it out there in the ninth and really buckling down to get that win. I mean, he continues to just, what is it, like 27 saves in a row now that he's had, something ridiculous like that for the Braves. Suarez, I'm not worried about him. I mean, Dylan Lee was bound to give up a home run at some point this year just because it's baseball. Suarez had a little bit of a hiccup with some hard hit balls, but again, that's just part of baseball. I know people get tired of me saying, "Well, that's just baseball." Well, it is. I mean, you're not going to be perfect every single night, and it's tough to replicate. And these guys do it 90% of the time. They're coming in and they're shutting the door down 90% of the time, which is way better than most. So, I mean, even at their worst, we were still able to get the victory, and that's a really good sign.
It was. So we get a 7-6 victory, and so that's a good thing. So we take game one, and again, we've only lost 3 games one time this year. And I tell you what, if we don't lose 3 games much in a row and we keep them a 2-game winning streak, so we're going to win 100 ball games this year, most likely. So that's a good sign. Game 2 shows up, and I guess Bryce decided to let the boys in the bullpen not feel so bad about their first really hiccup, and he had his first hiccup. Now, interesting in it, he just couldn't keep the ball out of the heart of the plate, and the Red Sox had a really good game plan on him. They hit a lot of first pitches. Bryce gives up 6 earned runs. ERA went up a whole run because of that. He still got a 2.95. And he was a tick down on his velo. I think it maybe just, I hate to say, Braves fans hate when we say this, but I think it was just one of those nights for Bryce. And I think we'll just wait to see what his start looks like against Toronto. And I think he'll fix it, but he was definitely off a tick in this game.
Yeah, his stuff didn't have the crispness, right? Like it normally comes out and has that little bit of gear on it. Like, I mean, he's not throwing 96, 97, but he's 92 to 94, and it's got a little bit of ride to it. The sinker has a little bit more bite, a little bit more depth. His cutter had a little bit more bite and a little bit more depth. It just didn't have that this game. Everything seemed just kind of flat, and it just stayed in his zone. Whether he threw a slider, whether he threw a cutter, whether he threw a sinker, his four seam, like any pitch that he threw, it just didn't have the bite that it normally does. And I think you can just chalk that up to it's just one of them days. I know people hate it, but these guys aren't going to be perfect, and Bryce has been pretty much perfect the entire season, and this was his first hiccup, and we're in May 28th. We're May 28th, so it's been 2 months into the season, and he finally had his first hiccup. I think if you told everybody at the beginning of the season, Bryce Elder is going to go until the end of May before he has a really bad start, I think everybody would have signed up for it again. I would have signed up for it. I said, heck yeah, sign me up right now. So I'm not worried about Big Texas. I think he's going to be just fine.
I do too, and we'll see how he bounces back. I guess the next start will be against Toronto. Offensively, it was a rough night. I mean, Ronnie really had a rough night. He had another one of those nights like he had against the Nationals on Saturday. And Ha-Seong Kim looked lost. Again, the thing to take out of is what can you do to help your team win? And both of them played really good defense, and they ran good. The only two guys who really had good nights offensively who hit the ball solid all night, not just getting hits, but was Jorge Mateo, who they decided to DH. Come to find out, he kind of rakes in Boston for some reason, has his whole career. And Mauricio Dubon did have a good night offensively, but overall offensively, we were just off. And after the game, you heard the players say it, and Walt said it. Mr. Conley Early had his best stuff of the year. And sometimes that happens.
Yep, just like our guy didn't have his best stuff of the year. Conley said, you know what, I'm going to go out there and throw my best game of the year. And you could just see it. Even guys who have been good all year for the Braves had a tough time getting on the fastball. Like, how often do we see Matt Olson struggle hitting a fastball that's 94 to 95 miles an hour? Not very often. Ozzie, dead red fastball hitter, had trouble getting up to his fastball. So it wasn't just Ronald. It wasn't just Riley struggling to hit fastballs, because that's what they have trouble doing nowadays. Everybody had difficulty with Conley. He was really good in game 2, so it's just one of the tip your hat and move on to the next day, and hopefully that guy doesn't have his best stuff, because if he did, it was going to be tougher than Conley. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's just I mean, Michael Harris had went 4 for 4 and almost looked like Ted Williams hitting. He even struggled. So that tells you how good early stuff was. And we both called it on the hip coil. We think he's a chance to be a great pitcher. They have two young pitchers that can really be the cornerstone of their staff. So as far as the pitching side, Boston's in really good shape. And they have some hitters too that should be better. And some of those guys did show up in this series. We'll get to the not the whole thing, but after this game, their first four hitters in the lineup were 10 for 20 in the series. And we know Duran, we know Rafaela, we know Willie Abreu, and Wilson Contreras are good players. And for Boston to get back into it, they need the other guys, but those guys had really good games.
Yeah, they did, and they had good games, good series. They even had a good series against the Braves in Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
especially Abreu and Contreras. As much as I can't stand watching Contreras sometimes play the game of baseball, but he's been on fire for the Red Sox. I would be surprised if the Red Sox got back in this race. I just don't think they're going to. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Mr. Contreras go to a contender who needs a right-handed stick. Ken, he's locked in. That's probably the best Wilson Contreras hitting I've seen out of him since his years in Chicago.
Because of that, they got some to get some young pieces to get better. Real fast, Elder didn't have it, but he didn't get help. Matty O did something I've never seen him do. He actually lost track of the ball when he went down on a ground ball. So if he's going to commit an error, he's not going to commit many. I might as well do it in an 8-0 slogging, and we'll get that out of the way. So, but Bryce didn't get no help there. But even Bryce said after the game he didn't pitch well. What was the good thing that come out of the game? Well, it's Carlos Carrasco because the Braves don't need to eat up that bullpen. They gave the ball to Cookie. He went 4 innings, 2 runs. He got notched his 1700th career strikeout, Ryan, which is amazing. 13th active highest strikeout. And he kind of looked like his old days in Cleveland, a little confidence out there. And you know how much the Braves appreciated it and think he can do this. They didn't
They
DFA
kept
him
him
after the
up.
game. They just they just kept him and they said, "You go sit on the bench, and whenever you're ready, you'll throw again." Cookie was the bright part of this game, wasn't he?
Yeah, and that's the one part of the bullpen we've been saying that needed help, right? Bummer couldn't do it. We've had guys up and down who they weren't comfortable doing it, and Cookie comes in, and I kind of noticed it the last time he pitched before this call up is he had I can't remember, I think it was Miami where he pitched,
Yeah.
and he pitched pretty good down there, and then they sent him, and then they DFA'd him and all that, but he had good stuff down there, I thought, and I'm not surprised. I mean, because his last time I saw him, he looked pretty good. So I'm happy for Cookie. He's a veteran. He's a guy who wants to keep pitching. He wants to be on a winning team, and he wants to win a ring. And there's nothing more than I want than to do who's going to go out there and do what he needs to do for a team to help them win and help them be successful for the next day. And that is Cookie Carrasco. And as long as he's doing his job and he's doing it well, he needs to be on the team.
This game for game three, we're fixing to go to winnable because he saved everybody in the bullpen. So if we didn't have a great offensive output, we could have used our whole pen. But with that said, we did. Normally start on the pitchers, but we'll go to the hitters this time because they were outstanding. On the Braves hip coil, Ryan talked about it. We had to get Tolley's pitch count up and get him out of there. And we've told you that the weakness in Boston is not the beginning of the staff, it's not the end of the staff, it's right in the middle of the staff. And we were able to get in their bullpen and we raked on it. Now, here's the numbers. Ozzie, 3 for 4, home run and a double. Harris, home run, 2 hits. Olson, two hits. Ronnie hit a grand slam, and his at bats hit a terrible first at bat. And I don't know what Eddie Perez. I saw Eddie go to the end of the dugout. Whatever he said to him, he looked locked in his next at bats and hits a doesn't miss a sinker, and he hits the ball about as far as you can hit one and into the dead wind. And when you hit a ball that far, you should be able to flip the bat as high as he did because that ball was crushed. And then Mateo he got to start, and in his 18 starts, he has 2 hits in at least 8 of those games. So back to Ha-Seong Kim, Mateo should show him we can win offensively. So just go out and play, Hassan. Just have fun and go play. And I think this was a good game to sit him on the bench and let Hassan watch. And I think we're going to get a better Ha-Seong Kim even at the plate, seeing how everybody, especially Mateo, well, that's another play. We got Harris making an error that they gave him a hit, but a play that he normally makes in a 10-2 win, so they won't make a play like that again. But offensively, I thought it was outstanding. I thought everybody's approaches, like you said, we get Peyton up in the count and we'll hit the bullpen, and we did.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's Peyton's a tough ride. I don't care how you slice or dice it. Look, I know he doesn't throw many pitches, but when you got 98 and then you can go off speed off of that with on the same plane, it's going to be a tough ride for a lot of guys, especially. I mean, 98 up in the zone is just tough. Period. So the one thing he has trouble with is consistently throwing strikes at the top of the zone. And that's the one thing the Braves honed in on. They said, we're going to make you come into the zone, and you're going to have to get us out in the zone. And they did. They battled their rear ends off. They knew Peyton's going to be tough, but they said the one thing that we can do is work that pitch count up and get him out of the ball game, and we can get in the weak part of their bullpen. And they did. So tip of the hat to the offense. They had a game plan. They executed the game plan. Even though they didn't score a ton of runs against Peyton, they definitely made him work. They got his pitch count up, and they said, all right, now we can go to work in the bullpen. And boy, did they go to work on the Red Sox bullpen, Ken.
They really did. And, I talked on the coach's corner in the mailbag. He got specifically asked about certain guys. And Ozzie Albies, everybody's got to treat Ozzie what he is. He is a winner. And Ozzie is going to do this. And he picks the best spots to have good games. So Tully gives up 2 runs, and it's because of a really good Matt Olson at bat. He gets a single. And then he rakes totally down the left field line for a double, and we're able to score 2 runs. You know, just impressive that Ozzie somehow finds a way. And I think this is just who Ozzie is. Now, I know you wanted him to have, you hoping he'd have an 800 OPS, but if he doesn't do an OPS and just plays ball like he's doing now, it's going to be acceptable because he has these stretches, and I expect Ozzie to win a lot of ball games for us because he seems to be a clutch guy. The tougher the moment, he kind of zones in a little bit. I know everybody gets tired of him leaving runners on base, but that's not what I see in Ozzie. I see a guy that's really much a competitor. What about you?
Yeah, that's been a common theme with a lot of people is they get tired of guys leaving guys on base. Look, I hate to break it to you. Hitting's hard.
Yeah.
Hitting a major league pitch is hard. Doesn't matter if it's fastball, doesn't matter if it's off speed. It is hard to do what these guys do at that level. So put it in perspective a little bit, and that they're going to fail 70% of the time. They're only going to be successful 30 to the good ones are successful 30% of the time. So keep that in mind when you guys are getting on to these guys, because they're more successful than not. They're way more successful in these situations than most big league teams right now. And there's a lot of teams out there that would trade teams in a New York second. So I try to drown that noise out. It does get annoying when you keep hearing it over and over again, but Ozzie's a winner. Ozzie goes out there, he grinds out every single game, every single at bat. Doesn't matter how he's feeling that day, he's going to give you his best. And sometimes his best isn't going to be good enough, but he gave you his best. And I never have to question that out of Ozzie Albies. Now, there's some guys that you can probably question it with, but Ozzie's not one of them. Ozzie's going to go out there every single day, and he's going to give you his best. And, I mean, if his best this year isn't an 820 like I predicted, and it's a 780, but he hits 25 home runs, drives in close to 100 runs, and we win a World Series, you're not going to hear a peep out anybody about Ozzie Albies not hitting an 800 OPS. So,
Yeah, now to the pitching side, watching the game was like watching somebody almost give birth. It was a lot of pain for Chris Sale. He scuffled all day. And let me tell you something. He gave a lot of credit to Sandy Leon, and I do too. And Sandy's called him 450 innings, so he probably knows Chris Sale better than anybody, even Chris Sale himself. His slider was what was off today. So Sandy had to be careful when to pick and when not to pick. Now, look, he threw the ball great. There's nothing wrong with the arm. He was throwing 99 miles an hour today, but he scuffled. But just to tell you how good a scuffled Chris Sale is, he's better than 95% of the league. He still only give up the 2 runs. He struck out 9 guys because of his scuffle. He only went 5 innings. And then behind him, we were able to bring in, Reynaldo gave us 2. We were able to bring in Kenley, who they pointed out and to everybody that Hefner noticed in film that he was striding too far. And as a pitching coach, I understand that because when you stride too far, the ball tends to pop out of your hand when you're throwing off speed. Ryan's a good hitter. He knows that too. He can see it come out of the hand. Today it was a lot more crisper, and I expect that to get better. We didn't have to use the back end of the bullpen because we blew it open, so we got to use Reynaldo. That's the best Reynaldo we've seen. I didn't go and strike out everybody. He got through 2 innings on 19 pitches. That's how many strikes he threw. Then Dylan come in there and just blew him away. I mean, he had a purpose when he come in there, and so I saw a lot of positive out of the pitching. How about you?
Yeah, Dylan came in there and he was pissed off that he gave up a home run yesterday.
Yeah,
So no, it wasn't Dylan. Dylan Dodd came in. I'm
yeah,
sorry, but
Dylan.
he's still what 96, 97 here lately, and he's got a really nice cutter. His sliders. Hey, he's developing right before our eyes, man. I'm very excited to see the end season stats for Dylan Dodd. We might look. I think we need a lefty, but the lefty need is not nearly as prevalent right now, and it's because of him. Raylo, I saw even before this outing, his previous outing before this one, he was throwing 97. He was touching 97, 96, and we haven't seen Raylo touch that in about a month. So that was really encouraging. He's obviously he's keeping his pitch count down. He's getting through innings quick. Guys are not getting, the long at bats, so that means they're not his stuff is pretty good again. So that's really encouraging to see. Really encouraging that Hefner was able to fix Kenley in pretty timely fashion. I mean, it was just a stride issue, and that's a pretty easy fix, I would imagine, for a pitcher. It probably doesn't take too long. And he came out there, and the last 2 times he's looked great. I know that he had one other outing where it was against the Washington Nationals. He looked pretty good too. So pitching again, we said it in the National Series, man. They pitching is what's going to carry you through 162 games. That's what's going to keep you in the race because your offense is going to be inconsistent. And the Braves got really good pitchers, and this is just a really good team, man. I'm so excited for this year and what this team's going to do. They got the attitude. They don't give a crap about what people think. They go out there and they just try to win ball games. It is so fun to watch. Because like you said earlier today, or earlier just a few minutes ago, Sale didn't have his best stuff. He was struggling. His control was all over the place, but he still goes out there and gives you 5 and gives you a chance to win, and then your bullpen comes in and locks it down the rest of the way. That's ridiculously good.
It is the thing that I love about this team is their leadership and stuff. And some moments in this game, Dubon threw the ball home when he can't throw the ball home. He comes to the dugout, blames himself. Chris Sale says, "No, that's on me. I would give up the runs anyhow." And then the moment that Chris Sale hit Contreras, and Sale said after the game he never heard him, which I figured he didn't. But Matt Olson did. And Matt Olson basically told Wilson Contreras to shut his trap. And so Wilson was so scared he started trying to grab his ass. I don't know what he was doing down there, but they have such good team leadership. And we're going to get to the one thing out of this game, slight comment that everybody, we talk about Hassan Kim, everybody on this team, if they're scuffling, they can take praise that the other man's got their back. And the teams that we had win championships when I coached, and every team will say this. I was listening to Kurt Signetti from Indiana when they won the national championship. That's what his style was. It doesn't matter if this guy fumbles, this guy's going to make a tackle on the defense the next play. Great teams pick each other up, and you saw that in this game alone, how each one goes up to each one and talks, even the coaching staff. That kind of leadership is what can actually propel us to world championship. What are your thoughts?
That's what makes champions, man. You can't go through 162 games and just think that everything's gonna. I mean, nothing's gonna be peaches and roses for 162 games. It's just impossible. You're gonna have your ups and downs. You're gonna have your moments where you're doubting yourself. You're gonna have moments where you question if you belong on the baseball field as the other guys across the dugout. And it's important for the guys that are with you every single day for 6, 7 months of the year to have your back and pick you up, because you're going to need that. You're going to need a confidence boost. You're going to need, hey, just because you're struggling right now doesn't mean that you're not going to pick me up in 2 or 3 weeks when I'm struggling. And it's everybody's got everybody's back in that dugout. Everybody is communicating. They're saying, hey, this is what I think you're doing wrong. Let's try to work on this. That's the coaching staff's doing that. Even when somebody's pouting a little bit, that the coaching staff pulls them to the side a little bit and says, hey, you can't show that emotion out there, because that gives them a little satisfaction on you, and know that they got to, and know that they know how to attack you a little bit more. You got to be stone cold. Even if you strike out, you got to go back to the dugout. You can go show emotion down below the dugout, but you can't wear it out there on the field forever. You got to pick yourself up. You got to move on to the next thing, because there's going to be somewhere in this game that you're going to have an impact for us to win this ball game, and you're going to play a role in that. And these guys do that to a T. And you couldn't say that on. I couldn't say that in 2024. You couldn't say that in 2025, but you can say it this year. This team's good, and they don't get down very long. This little stretch that we had in Washington last year or in 24 would have carried over for 2 or 3 series. They stopped it the next series, and even in today's game where it was so tough for them to grind out a win, they finally busted it open there in the 7th inning, because everybody had each other's backs, and they know they were all pushing the same direction, and that gives every single dude who's on that field confidence in one another, and they go out there and play for one another, and that's a whole lot more meaningful than playing for individual stats.
We opened up the mailbag and we already talked about Ozzie. The other two guys they talked about are Ronnie and Austin. And I talked about Ronnie hands drifting a little bit, and I can't catch up to the heat. And his hands were so much better. Even taking pitches, I watched his hands. If they would have been strikes, he would have hit them. And even on Tola, he was throwing 90 plus. And his first at bat, he's like he finally. And I saw Eddie Perez go down there and talk to him. So something clicked. This could be where Ronnie getting started. Somebody even asked me in a text message, is this the start of it? And I said it possibly can be, because he looked better taking. You're always going to get at it when you look better taking pitches. And so I don't know if Ronnie listened to me, and Sonny said heck with it, but he looked better. The other one was Austin Riley, and I said all Austin Riley is in his own head. And one of the things that Austin needs to take out of this game is what I tell him Ah-San Kim should do. This team's got his back. And so just go be the best you can be, whatever that is. And everybody needs to get off of this guy's not doing well. We're not going to have the perfect team. Somebody's going to be struggling every time. So you can be upset about it, or you can look how good this team is. So Matt Chernoff on 680 Fan brought up a point is, now look, I think Ah-San Kim, Murphy, and Austin have really lost a lot of time over the last 3 years, and that does affect your timing. That's not making excuses for anybody, but it does affect it. And what Matt Chernoff said is, we got to stop thinking about how much he makes and think about what he brings to this club. And what he does bring to this club is he's a great teammate. CJ even talks about how he's not pouted one time. He's trying to figure it out. And I think if Austin just has fun and just does the best he can, I think it's acceptable. And as long as we're winning games, I even said it on the coach's corner, we should not really even care. And Matt's point is, if this is who Austin Riley is, stop thinking about what the money is, and just accept that we're a good team. His teammates have got the back, because I guarantee you, at some point, he's good enough. If he's not the MVP candidate anymore, he's still good enough. He's going to have a week or 2 weeks in there. He's going to carry this team to a 6-2, because he's going to absolutely carry them. And I know he's your favorite player, and a lot of times you get defending him. And I know you're tired of defending him, but I thought Matt was spot on and just saying, just accept him for what he is, because he's going to have stretches. Everybody's accepted Matt Olson. Matt Olson makes the same amount of money, by the way. And Matt Olson went through a streak. He had a 430 OPS for 8 days. And everybody questioned whether he was hurt. He just was having one of those stretches. Now, Matt's having better success than Austin. We all admit that. But I think Matt Chernoff is right. We need to accept this might be who Austin Riley is, and it's okay because this team is really good. So that's your favorite player. So you got any thoughts on what Matt Chernoff said?
I think it's fine. Look, if people just need to get off because Austin's hearing it, right? There's no way he's not hearing it, and he knows he's one of the highest paid Braves, and that doesn't make it any easier going through struggles. And he's been injured two out of the last 3 seasons. This is his first full season healthy. I just wish people understood how hard it is to come back from abdominal surgery. Your core literally, you use your core for everything. To do even just little things like standing up, you're engaging your core. Trying to lay down in bed, you're engaging your core. So think about how much you use it in a baseball swing and how much that's going to affect your muscle memory when you're coming back, how to use everything properly again. It takes time. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling y'all the realistic thing. But if Austin Riley isn't the MVP candidate, and this is what he is, and he's still a guy who can go out there and possibly hit 240 and put up 30 homers and 100 RBIs while playing solid defense at third base, there's probably about 16 to 18 other teams that would take Austin Riley, probably even more than that. And I know everybody wants to get hung up on the money. If Austin Riley puts up a 2.5 WAR, a 1 WAR is worth about $8 million on the free agent market. He's right at his value. I don't think people realize that. It's not like Austin's making $45 million a year like Juan Soto is. So, I believe Austin Riley is going to get back to being Austin Riley. I'm going to continue to believe that until Austin just point blank proves it to me that he's just not that dude anymore. And when that day comes, I'll admit it. I just don't think it's here. I don't have enough of a sample size. This is 8 weeks into a season. He might have a dreadful first half, but then he could get hot as the Georgia asphalt in the second half, and then we were looking at a 780 OPS guy with 30-something homers and 100 RBIs, and a guy who might carry us in the postseason. You just don't know, and that's why you got to wait to the end of the year. I still think Austin's going to be a very good player. MVP candidate, I don't know. I don't know with the guys in the league if he's going to be an MVP candidate, but I think he can be a top 3 to 5 third baseman in the game, and I think everybody should take that. So I just wish everybody would get off of him and Kim right now and just enjoy the good team because it's a good team, and it's a team. We're not relying on one person to be a good team. We're relying on the team as a whole. And I think, and the guys understand that. I just wish the fans would understand that a whole lot more. And I think Matt did a really good job of explaining that concept on 680 The Fan the other day.
Yeah, kudos to Matt Chernoff. He did really good. 2 stories I want you to look up if you're a little disgusted and whatever. One is Michael Kay. Go look at the Michael Kay show. He had Pedro Martinez on talking about the Yankee fans, and Pedro lambasted them. If the players are hearing you, and if you think being negative to them is going to get them out of their slump, it's not. And Pedro encouraged the Yankees fans to be more positive because if you go look at the Yankees lineup right now, they got a lot of guys that are scuffling. Yankees have been going through a bad stretch. And it was funny, after he went on the show, they go out and they finally start hitting the ball again. Like just, it's back to the Trey Turner story. Remember when Trey Turner was struggling in Philadelphia and the fans decided to give him a standing ovation? And he went on a tear. It's not that we're saying that you're just pointing to the obvious that they know. So you can do what you want to as a fan, but if you want these players to succeed, then maybe a little less of that. The other thing is, I tell the funny story. WFAN is on there. If you get a chance to hear Gio and Boomer, Gio talked about it. Juan Soto cares more about his numbers than if the Mets win. This has been a thing that's going around since Juan Soto was with every team he's played with, and that's Nats, Padres, Yankees, and now here. There's a reason the Yankees didn't sign him back. It's because they didn't feel like he put them over the hump. The story is this. Ralph Kiner in 1964 led the league in home runs and RBIs. He almost won the Triple Count. He was third in the average. They finished dead last, by the way. The team did. He goes to the owner and asks for more money. The owner looks him dead in the eye and said, Ralph, that's true. You had a great year, but you know what? We finished in last place, and we did that with you. We can finish in last place without you. The key to that is he wasn't trying to be too harsh to Ralph is At the end of the day, it's what the team does. So it's irrelevant who's making the money. Soto hasn't figured this out up there. That's the reason I've never wanted Juan Soto on my team. And I'll take Aaron Judge in a heartbeat because Aaron Judge cares more about whether Cody Bellinger gets a hit or Volpe comes out of his slump than he does about himself. He's a good enough player. And that's what you're getting out of the Braves right now. I'm not even going to talk about the guy we just talked about, but you're seeing it in the team. Like Chris Sale cares about what Mauricio Dubon feels like coming in from the outfield is more important than what his ERA may be. He cares less because they want to win. This is a real quick basketball story. I hate harping on New York. Anybody who follows me knows that I'm a big New York Knicks fan because I had a weird way I got to be that fan. But Jalen Brunson got asked a question about giving up the ball to Karl Anthony Towns because he was a star. He answered a question like this. Why did he do it? One, I'm not a star, and two, because I want to win. And that's the attitude this Braves team has, Ryan. They don't care who the star is. They don't care. They just want to win. And that's the reason why I feel more and more every day, even when we're losing, that we're going to win a world championship. So take that into account, and let's move on to the Reds series. I feel really good about this Red series. All right, so here's the pitching matchups, Ryan. Holmes against Paddock. Yeah, that Chris Paddock. We already faced him. Martin Perez against Brady Singer. And Spencer Strider against Nick Lodolo. How do you feel about these pitching matchups?
Sweeping. That's how I feel about it. We're sweeping. And if you want to know why I feel so good about it, you're going to have to check the hitters meeting out on that Braves hip call because I give you a really detailed answer why. If they just to give you a short little snippet, these pitchers don't have enough for the Atlanta Braves hitters. I'll just keep it at that.
Yeah, from the pitching side, me and Andrew are going to talk about it, but they've got three guys that are really raking. They have three guys that are kind of and then they have four guys that are really struggling. And that's the kind of lineup that you can kind of pitch through. The thing that they struggle with, you're going to love this, Braves fans, off speed. They cannot hit the off speed very well, other than the big behemoth at shortstop. But everybody else struggles with off speed, including their great rookie. They have a rookie, Sal Stewart, who's maybe going to win Rookie of the Year if he was in a bigger market, probably. He's having a tremendous year. If you don't know who Sal Stewart is, he's from the video that went viral where him and Eric Miller from San Francisco got into an F-bomb contest, and Eric showed it up his rear end. He'd be a nice Brave. He'd be somebody to come to the Braves. But I think they're going to take 2 out of 3. I want to say sweep, but I'll let Ryan have the kahunas to say that, and I'll take 2 out of 3.
Sweeping, baby. We're sweeping. This is a series to absolutely put it on the Reds and bury them a little bit down in the standings a little bit. So I feel comfortable with it.
I'm hoping so. We get started tomorrow night with Grant, and hopefully Grant will have his off speed, and we'll hammer Chris Paddock. With that said, who's going to go off for us? Who's your pick to clip?
Well, if you listen to the hip call, I'm going with 2 guys, and it's the 2 guys that let me down the last 2 times, Ken. Ronald let me down in the Nats series when I took him, and Riley let me down this past series. And the reason why I'm taking them, they're not facing 98 miles an hour this series. They're facing guys who are going to throw sinkers at 93 to 94. They both do really well against the sinkers. So, and that's going to play a whole lot better when they're looking at off speed because they're not worried about catching up to the fastball as much. So I think both of those guys are going to have a really good series.
I like it. I want to pick Riley after that home run. Through sinker 750 foot today, it looked like. I don't know how they judge those home runs that go off the light pole like that, but they always seem very short, especially in Boston. With that said, I'm going to go with the guy that's going to hit 3 balls into the river. I think Matt Olson, he loves hitting in Cincinnati. A little stat, you do the overlay of the ballparks. He'd had 4 balls in Boston, would have went out of the ballpark. He hit 1, he would have hit 5 in Cincinnati. That's different pitchers and whatever. But with that said, I think Matt's going to have a big series, and I think you're going to see him have a big week. I think he's fixing to put on. I think the Braves are fixing to go on a big winning streak here. And that's on the back end of this homestand where they're going to have to probably run into Skeens and them and Pittsburgh. I still feel that confident that we're going to fix to go in these next 9 games, have a 7-2, 6-3 stretch. So I'll go Matt Olson. So before we get out of here, what's your final thought tonight?
Like, subscribe to the channel. Go over to @BravesHipCool and subscribe there. Go to all the guys that are part of Hardcore Braves. They all do a really good job. Lethal Platty does a great job. Ben does a great job. Erin on deck does a great job. She is on TikTok and pumps out content over there. So if you want to check that out, go check her out on TikTok. But that is my final thought. We are giving you guys as much content as we can, even when we don't feel like it. And we appreciate you guys' support and love. It means a lot to us and it helps us keep on going. So thank you guys.
We go through them. So you can find Andrew on Hot Atlanta Highlights. When I start naming all the content we have, it's tremendous. So easiest way to do it is to go to @Hardcore Braves. We share everything they do. But when you do go click on their stuff, like and follow and subscribe to their stuff so they know, and comment on their section. My final thought is Erin on deck has a Fanatics Superstore. We want to support that. So we all know y'all buy stuff from Fanatics. So I'm going to put out the link to her Superstore. And if you order through that, you'll get discounts. But also, she will get the credit for it. So she's trying to build her fan base on TikTok. So if you do order something through Fanatics, we're going to start pumping her up. I know I'm going to order all my stuff through her store. And easy way to do that, I talked to her. If you see something she doesn't have in her store, you see on Fanatics, you just tell her. She'll add it to the store, and then you can go through there and get the discount. So that's my final thought. So remember, @Hardcore Braves, find everybody there. We share them all the time. So, and then, like you said, when you go in there, like and subscribe and comment on their section. That's it for the night. Let's go to Cincinnati, and I'm with Ryan. Let's try to sweep a series. We love you, Braves country, and as always, peace.
You know what, boys? You guys are going to be world champions for the rest of your life.